And football was something that gave me, it made me able to dream. So when you come from a neighborhood like I come from, the first person you see with money and feel like they got everything is the drug dealers, right? When I fell in love with football, it made me realize I didn't have to deal drugs. Because by then, my pops drugs had taken my dad away. So I hated even thinking about doing drugs. And so football gave me an opportunity to dream bigger. I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to be great. You know what I mean? I got, and it was a position where I was able to take this aggression out. Right?
Yeah.
Even though I didn't know where it came from.
Yeah. So talk to me about your dad, man, because I know you just said, drugs took your dad away.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you mean by that?
Product of his environment. For Black males, a lot of times these schools aren't built to keep us in classroom, right? So you think of the school to prison pipeline, that's a real thing. And so my dad fell into that category, but he's a product of his environment, you know what I mean? And so he started selling drugs early on. And once you get a little taste of that money where you kind of are free, I mean, who can really tell you to go back to, I think my dad stopped going to school in middle school. Right. And so not having that education, and then you get in trouble and now you got a felony on your name. So it's only a few routes you can go. Right. And he took the route that a lot of Black men in impoverished neighborhoods take to provide. But he became big though. Like my dad's like a legend in the streets. And so, I think of that type of greatness. I teach transferable skills. And so how I do that is if I got a kid that I'm working with that sells drugs, well, you already a salesman, right? So it doesn't diminish the fact that you're good at something.
Right.
You just in the wrong field.
Right.
So my dad to be a legend in that field, that kind of empowered me to be a legend doing something else. And that's how I kind of step every day, man. And I always, keep I can feel him on me.
Right.
And so like, as I'm walking my daily walk, man, it's just like, I got to do something bigger. Right.
So he went to prison. You were doing the prison visits, all that. Did he ever get out? Like what happened with that?
Yeah. So I did prison visits throughout elementary, middle school, and then high school. So playing football, I ended up having the opportunity to go to a Catholic school. It's like the most prestigious school in Indianapolis, Cathedral High School. And it was I was a football player. So my sophomore year, I'm starting varsity. Football is I'm really starting to become really, really good. And them jail visits, I used to be embarrassed because I'm a kid that goes to a school with all these white kids who got money. And their parents, they got two parents coming through the door. You know what I'm saying? Or if they don't, mom and dad is somewhere. But I didn't have that. And so I used to be super embarrassed. So I would lie about where my dad was to my friends. So my dad ended up calling and saying he was getting out of jail. But I had heard this for the last 10 years. So then he ended up getting out and was able to see me play football. Man, it was in the first time in my life where I felt whole. Right. Then my junior year rolls around, and junior year is normally the most important year for sports. So I'm excited about my dad being out. We together every weekend. I got a job, so I ended up going to work. I worked at a car wash. And this was one of them weekends where my pops was gonna come get me.
Right.
And we was gonna ride around, and it was like a movie being around him. Like I would just sometimes just stare at him because like I looked at him as like a god. Like there was a god to me. Man, I was a black male with his dad that came from more circumstances. None of my friends had their pops. I think I might have had one or two people that I hung out with out of probably 10 that had a dad that was visible.